Hello, fellow scholars and purveyors of morbid curiosities alike. I'm Dr. Caleb, joined by the man who's a crowd in and of himself, Dr. Zach. And this is SCPod. Zach, how are you today?
Well, now I'm gonna start a fucking diet, you fat shaman Claude.
Yeah, I didn't want it to come out like this, but you've been hitting the nuclear radiation out of the coffee machine a little
Hey
hard.
man, I just went through a breakup. Don't judge me.
A breakup?
Yeah, I know, my podcast...
Was that in the other timeline? Was that with the other Caleb?
Yeah, but it's all gonna happen to you too.
God, this gets more and more confusing every
How do you think I feel? Why do you think I'm turning to nuclear radiation in this time of need?
Just drink fucking hard liquor like the rest of us.
I am! It's in the radiation.
Oh, God. That is a hell of a chaser, Dr.
It's not a chaser, it's in the cup.
Oh, God.
It is like the tangiest screwdriver.
That is a whole other type of drop shot. You take the shot and you drop to the floor.
It's the...
Everybody walk the dinosaur.
Is that a factual phrase?
Yeah, it's a fucking song.
What song? I've never heard that before.
Open up the door, drop to the floor, everybody do the dinosaur.
I have never heard this in my life.
Okay, so you got me Dracula Flow. I'm about to... It's like an old classic rock song, if I remember right. I'll find it. I'll find it too.
Oh, no.
Especially because you were on 4chan. Like, I would assume that you would have seen this, because it was one of those stupid green text things that, like, it would, like, at the bottom, it would be like, and I went home after being broken up with, and I opened the door, dropped to the floor, everybody was walking the dinosaur, you know?
Is that what the kids call it these days?
I guess so. Anyway.
Oh, no.
Yeah. We run a horror-themed podcast, folks.
Sometimes.
The horrors are of our millennial hearts breaking.
And apparently dinosaurs being walked.
True. I have to imagine it's like walking like an Egyptian. It's just like a dance move, but I like to think more that
It's walk like an Egyptian with less suggestive eye movement.
True. And maybe the same amount of racism?
Maybe, I don't know. Caleb, I can tell you at this point, though, in my heart, as someone who's had to deal with the timelines I've had to deal with and has watched the new Jurassic Park movies, I have no love in my heart for dinosaurs as a race.
What about as a species?
No, that's fine.
Oh, okay. Fair enough. Yeah, we're racists here on SCPod.
But we're not speciest.
But we're not species, yeah. Zach, take us in the article.
Get some water. Jesus. SCP-428. The Crowd. Object Class: Euclid. Special Containment Procedures. SCP-428 is to be contained in a 5 meter by 5 meter by 5 meter cell. The containment walls are to be electrified with 30,000 volts. Entrance to the cell is via a corridor airlock, and access to SCP-428 is restricted to Level 3 researchers and below, while escorted by 2 armed guards. Personnel are to keep 2 meters minimum away from SCP-428 at all times. When not under research, 2 armed guards are to be on duty at all times. Due to 428's effects, all D-Class personnel are to be screened for low IQs and skills that are deemed non-threatening to Foundation security or potential escape attempts. See Addendum 428-A. A single D-Class personnel, due to for termination, is to be offered once per month to keep 428 satisfied. However, this will result in the need for increase in containment space or for the solution to keep 428 neutralized in the future.
Description. SCP-428 is, in appearance, a crowd of huddled human beings, currently consisting of 14 people. While huddled in a circle, SCP-428 is to be considered in a dormant state. In this state, the crowd moves with a gentle sway and can be heard audibly mumbling. Upon further inspection, the biological internals, i.e. organs, bones, muscles, and fluids, leaving only the skin, have been removed from each individual and replaced with an unidentified material that attaches to a central amorphous mass in the middle of the crowd via lengths of flesh similar to umbilical cords. The crowd will not move away from this mass unless a person comes within 2 meters of the central mass. At this point, the crowd will move into its hostile state. The people of SCP-428 closest to the person will attempt to grab and pull them into the middle of the crowd. After contact is made for more than 10 seconds, the person will become a new member of SCP-428. Their internal structures will be removed and replaced with the same material as the other members. Should the potential victim escape, SCP-428 will actively seek them or another potential victim out. It will attempt to absorb any and all human life within its immediate vicinity. When all human life has been absorbed and they have become members of the crowd, it will return to its dormant state. If SCP-428 does not absorb a human being after a maximum of 1 month, it will again actively seek them out. It will do this using a variety of different methods. This includes using acquired skills previously known by people as absorbed. It will also use psychological tactics to lure people into grasping distance. See Addendum 428-A. Wounds inflicted upon SCP-428's crowd heal at an accelerated rate and do not hinder movement. SCP-428 has been proven to be highly resilient. For instance, a bullet to the leg of a member of the crowd will become lodged but will not affect the individual's movement. And beyond the substance seeping through, the hole will close up within a few days. However, wounds inflicted upon SCP-428's central mass will cause a great deal of pain to the crowd. This will cause the crowd to collapse in apparent agony, and SCP-428 will retreat from the cause of the injury, using the crowd to protect itself. This has since been used to herd SCP-428 back into containment. Should a connection between SCP-428 and a member of the crowd be severed, it will excrete the substance within it through all its natural orifices. A sample is currently being studied, and the remains have been incinerated. Note: SCP-428 has a hive mind. It therefore does not have the hindrance of movement that would be expected of a sizable crowd. It is able to move large distances in a relatively short amount of time. It is only limited by the slowest member of the crowd at running speed. 428 appears to maintain some of its memories, skills, and talents of the people it absorbs, and is willing to use these skills to gain further members.
Addendum 428-A. Before the current containment procedures, SCP-428 managed to pick the lock of its cell using a hairpin and belt buckle from the members of the crowd. It then positioned a female of the group slumped in front of the door, sobbing loudly. A researcher who was unaware of 428's properties approached the woman and was abruptly grabbed by the rest of the group. SCP-428 proceeded to move through the facility using the researcher as a front man, resulting in a number of casualties before the containment breach was alerted and SCP-428 was recontained. Researchers' comments noted, the casualties are gone. They are SCP-428 now. No matter what it might say or do, they are not your work colleagues, nor your friends anymore. Remember this. It may save your life.
Damn, that's a crazy entry.
This is a kind of a good case of a monstrous threat that is simple in terms of what it is, but also has a lot of interesting qualities to it. Like, we don't know exactly what the sample study of the fluid that came out of that one guy that was severed came back as either.
Right. Well, and I think we were talking about in a previous episode, I don't remember which one, but we were talking about how humans aren't prepared to like distinguish their friend from a clone. You know?
Oh yeah, totally.
And I think this is the addendum shows that pretty well off.
Yeah, and like I just want to reiterate that it is the official policy of SCPod that you should kill your double.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. Don't. Your clone does not deserve to exist.
You, however, if you are the one that survived, rest assured you are without a doubt the legitimate person and the original, no matter what anyone else says.
We were talking about Invincible in the pre-show, and how and talking about that
the Mahler twins.
The Mahler twins. Yeah. They're a good example of that. Anyway, yeah, this is interesting. I kind of like this one.
I do too. Like I have a lot of questions like about that center mass because it connects to the others via those weird umbilical cords, right? And the way the way that's connected is that it basically scoops out all of the insides, like bones and all, and then fills it with its own like weird liquid, right?
Right.
What does it do with the bones and the organs? Is it just absorbed?
Maybe it eats them.
Right, like that's like the easiest one I can think of, but because like it mentions in the description that everything is scooped out and replaced with the identified material, but then doesn't mention the innards again.
Yeah, but it also has like a hunting period, right?
Right,
every
and
month
that would be,
it has to go get a new member.
Right, and that would make sense if that was like what it's quote unquote hunting for, because otherwise I'm not sure why it would need to hunt unless it's one of those like pathological killing SCPs, and like we don't,
right, like Time's Up or
yeah,
something.
and like I have questions about the level of intelligence that this entity actually has, like. It can absorb skills and knowledge of things it absorbs, but is that a mimicry behavior purely in service of the hunting behavior, or is it like conscious aware of what it's doing?
Well, I think it says that in the addendum that it used a researcher and was able to proceed to move through the facility using the researcher as a frontman. So it definitely displays a level of intelligence in order to achieve what it wants. I don't think it has the sapience of, say, a human, but it has the problem-solving techniques of that of like maybe like a chimp or a dolphin or something. Is my read on it, at least.
Yeah, like I'm not sure if you've this is a little outside your wheelhouse, but I recently watched Alien Earth.
Okay.
And,
what'd you think?
Oh, I loved it. Watch it, absolutely. If you have any affection for the Alien movies, episode 5 is...
I fucking love
Alien. Yeah, episode 5 specifically is basically a miniature Alien movie. Done by the numbers, but to good effect. Good. It is, easy recommend, all the way down. But there's a particular like alien life form that they found that basically does exactly this kind of shit. And that's one of the things that's kind of raised is like, is it doing this because it understands the mimicry as a hunting behavior? Or is it doing it because it understands what it's doing? And you get a really fun example of that. And like, it's a fine distinction, but like, I would be interested in seeing like if there was any attempts to actually verbally communicate with the crowd and see if it accidentally coughs up some information about itself.
Oh, I see.
Because it's capable of producing, like, audible sounds and sobbing and stuff like that. Is it capable of communication?
Right.
And that's kind of what I want to see, like, as a test done on this thing, because if it is a true blue, like, non-human intelligence, as far as those words mean anything, then it might be able to offer some insight into other things, or at least more insight onto 428 itself. And I understand that the goal of the Foundation is to contain these threats ultimately, but if we're also a foundation of scholars and researchers, then we should be doing our due diligence to try and figure this out more.
Yeah, I think SCP stands for Secure, Contain, Protect, right? And I feel when we first started the show, I was under the guise of like, okay, we are just trying to contain these, but the more that we've done this show and exposed kind of flaws in our research, I've kind of come around to like, we should be trying to research these things and find a way to make that, like, the goal should be that every SCP should be safe class, right?
Yeah.
They should be super easy, and they should pose no threat to the outside world. The crowd here is a Euclid, and so, like, there's definitely stuff that we don't know that if we were able to learn about, we could discuss and lock it up better. If there was a way to cull some of the members so that it stays in a much easier containment cell. Or, if there was a way that we could give it some other sort of biomass in order to satiate its quote-unquote hunger or something like that,
Yeah, and it's this thing of, like, by better understanding the actual entities themselves goes a long way into helping researchers contain the threats presented by it. Because, like, what we have now effectively is the equivalent of tossing a virgin into a volcano to appease the harvest gods. By feeding a D-class to this thing once a month to ostensibly feed it and then make the group larger. But what I'm not seeing in here is effectively what we do when it gets past a certain point in size. And that's the other thing I kind of want to know is, like, at what point does it ever reach a critical mass in terms of, like, hive intelligence that it becomes a greater threat or goes to another period of its life? Do we know if this is the end state of whatever it is? Because it clearly has a biological process in terms of, like, needing to feed. But, like, how does it, like, what does its actual life cycle look like?
Yeah. Well, and the thing is, just by kind of tracing it back to, okay, it has 14 members currently. That means that if it only ate once every month, that means it's only been around for a little over a year. This could still be, like, the caterpillar stage,
Right. Also, like, we don't know if it's lost members before that.
Exactly.
And so we don't know, like, is there a minimum number of connected entities it needs in order to keep alive? Also, how does it move if it's not connected to a mass or to a crowd?
Yeah.
So is it like a guaranteed lose condition, so to speak, of, like, starvation if it no longer has any surrogates or umbilicals attached? And I realize that, like, I don't know the ethics of, like, what that would take to actually answer.
Yeah.
Like, how capable of interacting with the world is this thing by itself? And, like, how would it attract a target or a meal if it doesn't have any of the crowd members?
I would have to assume it'd probably be something like a sea urchin.
Maybe.
Or something like that. Like, moving really slowly and then just trying to find something that's maybe like a sleeping person or something like that. I mean, we really don't know what the central mass really looks like other than just a bunch of, like, tendons,
Yeah, and yeah, I think there's...
But maybe it also, like, it has a form that happens when it's when it has a crowd and it becomes all those tendons versus, like, maybe it's just like a gelatinous morph when it's just by itself. I don't know. It's interesting.
Yeah, and so this does the thing a Euclid should do, in that it makes you want to ask follow-up questions about what the thing is and how it works.
Yes.
And I wonder, like, how much the absorbed knowledge and skills and memories of its victims incorporates into its own quote unquote thought process.
Yeah.
Or is it just like does it think? How does it think of itself if it does think?
Yeah, it's interesting because it says it appears to maintain some of the memories, skills, and talents of the people it absorbs, but, like, is that just, like, a fault of, like, the RAM of the central mass, or, like, is it just, like, the more people it has, the less the less it actually can like utilize and things like that.
Yeah, and more importantly and somewhat crudely, if it is eating the entire internal structure and materials of the victims, where does it do with the waste?
Yeah, that's very fair.
Because I mean, if it
my headcanon is that is what the substance that's inside of all those things are. Is a like blended up version of all of your insides.
maybe, I mean, my read on it was that like the replaced material is basically whatever is allowing the blob to control everything else.
Yeah.
Like the replacement of all the nerves and ligaments and all that.
Zach, what's your take on hive minds?
I like them in general, but like I think they're a little overdone, especially in sci-fi.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot. I think there's
that.
a lot to be said, like both in terms of a direct literary analysis of something, but also like it's the idea of why the Stepford Wives is a scary concept.
Yeah.
Or like why a cult is a frightening thing.
Yeah, it's yeah. I don't know. I as somebody that grew up playing Halo, growing up,
the Flood.
The Flood. Yeah. That's immediately when I was about halfway through the description, I was like, no, this is the Flood, but with more umbilical cords.
I don't know. The Grave Mines had a pretty good number of cords.
That's true. Talk about a glow up. The Halo 2 Gravemind versus the Halo 2 remaster or anniversary or whatever. That is a cool looking dude. But there's a lot of extended universe stuff in Halo about the Flood and the hive minds and how the Gravemind was able to pilot High Charity to the Ark because it had consumed a prophet, and the prophet knew the coordinates of the Ark. Or the coordinates to Earth, or something like that. But, that's exactly what I thought of when we were reading this. Is like, this is very Flood-esque.
Yeah, it is like a weird, like, easier to contain Flood. Like, first of all, you don't have to worry about infector forms.
True.
And these ones don't have an assault rifle yet. But I'm trying to think, like, is there another hive mind thing? Like, I kind of want to draw a reference to, like, The Thing. But I don't know if that's, like, a true blue, like, hive mind situation, or, like, how much of aware it is of the things it absorbs. But I could also talk about the Thing forever.
Right.
That is, like, one of my favorite movies of all time.
Isn't there a StarCraft race that's a hive mind?
Oh, the Zerg.
Yeah.
Kind of. The Zergs had a hive mind for a while. That was the I don't know if it's the Overmind. But that was true up until Brood War. But then it had like its own separate like control things called Cerebrates, I think. Which all kind of consume different aspects of the hive. So even within the hive mind, so to speak, there were individual egos.
Okay.
So it's not like a quote pure hive mind. And then like you have the idea of the true Zerg, or the primal Zerg that came out in StarCraft 2, which were more individuals. But that's neither here nor there.
Interesting. I'm sure Warhammer also has.
Oh yeah,
but I don't know anything about Warhammer.
Me neither. I know a little bit, but it's like they're called the Tyranids, I think.
In the Lost podcast, we talked about Tyrannoids in Ratchet and Clank, and I think that you were like, "Oh, are you talking about the Warhammer thing?" And I was like, "No, what's that?" Oh. I'm understanding now.
Yeah, the Tyranids, regular nightmare fuel, but they're pretty much your boilerplate insectoid alien hive mind thing. I don't know.
So my question is like, realistically, how do you stop a hive mind?
You kill it.
Obviously, the crowd is one thing because, like, it's the hive mind is right there. It's all specimens that we know of, at least. We could have like a way of all flesh thing where it's like a lot bigger than we expected, but for the most part, like, it is pretty self-contained right now. Yeah. There's 14 members in a gelatinous mass. But when you take it to a big scale, like, say, the Flood, or even something like continent spanning or something like that, like, you just have to fucking nuke everything, right? Like, you can't let anything live, right?
I mean, kind of. I think that would be generally how you would go about addressing it. But it's one of those things where, like, it depends on the exact nature of how the forms are connected and infected. If it's a case of, like, the Flood, for example, where you have to kill every single last infector form, which are small and can easily hide everywhere.
Right.
Or if it grows, like, on mold spores, like with some of the Sarkic stuff.
Like the frog?
Like the frog. Like, how do you fight mold spores? And make sure that you got everything.
Right.
And so, like, it's one of those things where, like, if you're past a certain point, you're probably already dead. And you're just waiting for it to happen. In this case, I don't think it's that bad, but, like, there are definitely a lot of K-class scenarios that would come from a hive mind if you let it get to a certain point. But also acknowledging that if you've gotten to that point already, it was always going to get there.
Right.
At some point, you would probably just have to abandon the planet and then hope that nothing that could infect anyone made it off world too.
Yeah, I mean, when you start to think about it in kind of like Plague Inc. terms, you know, it's like we're in the point where it's like the first infection or something like that, and it's like starting to mutate slightly. Whereas like something like the Flood or even like the frogs, I guess, have kind of like hit that next stage where it's like, oh, we got to start doing something about this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it depends on the nature of the thing. Like with the example of the Tyranids, and this is going to be not necessarily for Caleb's benefit, but for any of the Warhammer fans out there, specifically the 40k fans, where like there are like advanced agents of the swarm that will show up as like appearing human enough that will basically eventually start creating Tyranid cults on a world before the main swarm arrives to basically weaken the host for everything. And so if you have a hive mind that's capable of like advanced articulation and foresight and planning, then that already kind of increases the timeline of Ultimate Doomsday.
Right.
But if it's more of a disease, then you kind of have to treat it as like a natural disaster as opposed to like an enemy army.
Zach, how scary would it be to have something like this chase you? Like, it says that because it's a hive mind, like, it can run. Like, it doesn't hobble or anything like that.
Yeah,
like,
it'd be pretty terrifying.
A seemingly group of 14 people sprinting at you, and they're just like, they're not like colliding into each other. It's like, that's got to be some sort of nightmare fuel.
That is pretty terrifying. Like, imagine like seeing an uncanny level of coordination between a group of people. And like, am I being attacked by militant gymnasts?
Well, like the thing is, like, people are not coordinated with each other. Even if like, I mean, fuck, how many times have we decided like how we're going to do an episode, and then like we'll get 10 minutes in and it's like, nope, we're just going completely off the rails. Like, coordination is like not something that humanity is good at.
I would say that is something that we are good at, but there's a line, you know.
Fair. Yeah,
we are a social animal that got this far because we are good at, largely, broadly speaking, working together. But there's a certain point in when you see a team, when you're looking at something in terms of unit cohesion, that crosses the line of the uncanny valley, and he goes, "Oh, this isn't normal," and like you kind of get like it's like the example of why watching cheerleaders is actually kind of interesting, because watching all the coordination that has to go into it, or like a really good marching band.
I'm really into like air shows.
Oh yeah.
Like jet demonstration teams, and I watched the Thunderbirds, which is the U.S. Air Force team, and when they are in their maneuver in their formation, they are 6 planes, right? Yeah, 6 planes that are only divided by 18 inches of airspace between them, and they're doing like rolls and stuff like that, and it's like that is a crazy amount of coordination with that. Too.
Yeah, and I feel like one of the the major points of delineation is that like when you're looking at like your Thunderbirds, your Blue Falcons, your cheerleaders or what have you, is that they're easily identifiable as like a mass because they're like wearing uniforms or driving the same kind of vehicle, right? Imagine 14 randos just out there, perfect coordination with each other. You're out on the street. That would be a spectacle. You would watch. You would pay attention to that.
We're the tunnel snakes.
Tunnel snakes rule. But that's the thing though. It's like when something like that happens and you don't expect it, it appears odd and noteworthy because it's out of place.
No, you hit the nail right on the head when you said uncanny valley. Like, it is something that like looks human, but is different enough just to kind of unsettle you a little bit.
Yeah, we're going to talk a lot about that when we get to like some of the Imago Dei SCPs, because I think it's like my cousin Kevin or something like that really hammers this home in a really interesting way. But there's a lot to be said about the idea of predators using the uncanny valley, and it kind of makes me think about like way back when there were multiple species of humans, like Neanderthals, Cro-Magnon, or what have you.
Right.
Like, what must have that been like? Would you be automatically off-put if you saw a different species of human?
Right. Yeah, I mean, there is that theory of like the uncanny valley is something that humanity evolved to like sense danger because like, for one reason or another we're afraid of something that looks human enough but is just slightly off. And I think that it's kind of been debunked as like, oh, it's just to like scare us away from corpses. But like, what if there is like it was developed to make sure that we didn't get killed by Neanderthals?
Yeah, and like that's outside of like my area of understanding, but I mean, you still have that reaction whether or not where regardless of where it comes from. The entire thing is that sort of thing is outside of my area of understanding, but it doesn't change the fact that regardless of where it comes from, that we do have that reaction.
Yeah, for sure.
And this is one of those entities that kind of makes you wonder why, makes you think about maybe specifically why we might have that. But yeah, really interesting. And I would, again, my biggest question regarding 428 is how cognizant of its behavior is this entity?
Right. Is it actually an intelligent force, or is it working off of instinct?
Right, or is it like that weird parasitic fungus with ants?
Right, cordyceps?
Yeah, the cordyceps thing.
I think.
Yeah, so those were my general questions, and like unlike the foot of the bed, this can't really be solved with a simple night vision camera.
Right. I think that there definitely is enough like further research that we can put into this to do our job better at securing, containing, and protecting it. Not protecting it, but protecting things from it. But the other kind of interesting thing, thought experiment I have is like, does it only have to go after humans? Like, if it was in a pinch and we like threw a dog in there,
would it eat the dog?
Would the dog be assimilated?
Right, and would that affect its overall behavior?
Right.
And
you just like walk in and it's just 14 people and a dog growling at you.
Right, and then like same thing with like any other animal.
Right.
Like, and this may be like a somewhat silly question, but like, what if we threw like a non-terrestrial animal at it? Like, what happens if we try to give it like a bird or a fish?
the humans just start flapping their arms.
Right, and it's like just running around. But it's just I don't know. I mean, like, I feel...
And then it ends up in my fucking quarters.
Yeah, absolutely. But, I mean, it's not going in mine again. But yeah, those are my general questions that I think I have about 428.
Yeah. Yeah, this is a fun one. Going over the briefest of summaries for this, it doesn't feel like there's that much on paper for this. But when you really get into it, there's a lot to chew on here.
Yeah, this is, like, from a writing standpoint, really efficient in that it does paint a really interesting picture, but also raising a bunch of interesting ideas and things that you would want to follow out later. But it doesn't go into that says too much territory.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it.
It's a good Euclid.
Yeah, this is a Euclid-ass Euclid.
Yeah, I think I've said this before, but Euclid is probably my favorite object class to talk about.
Yeah, I mean, I love a good world-ending threat. Don't get me wrong, but Euclid is just like, it's a grab bag. Like you'll go in there and you'll grab the frogs. Mm-hmm. No, the frogs were Euclid. Now they're killer. Yeah. But like, you'll go in there and you'll grab like most of an Allosaurus.
Oh yeah, most of an Allosaurus. I think Time's Up was a Euclid.
That would be interesting. That is a fucking Keter-ass SCP. I mean, it killed somebody while it was in containment.
I mean, it could be a Keter, but like, I off the top of my head have fond memories of a lot of good Euclid ones.
Yeah.
Yeah, good stuff.
Yeah, keep it up, the crowd. You're doing some good stuff out there.
Good job.
Zach, do you have anything else you want to speak about on crowds or Three's a Crowd or waiting in line at supermarkets or anything like that?
No, not really. I will say that Three's a Crowd is was that a sitcom? Sounds like a bad sitcom.
I don't know. The only thing I know about it is it's why I referenced it in the in the intro is like that was like the Walmart thing for a while there. It was like if there are 3 people in your line, then you have to go open up another lane.
And no.
But yeah, this is an interesting one. And I'm glad we're doing this season because it's the funny SCPs are always going to have a space in my heart, but some of these just like kind of creepy ass shit, like it's what SCP is built off of,
Yeah, and like I think I said this to a friend yesterday, and I don't know if I ever said this on show, but my editorial position is that I think a question is infinitely more interesting to consider than a statement. Yes.
Especially when it comes to horror. I mean, I've talked about it time and time again. I'm sure I've talked about it on the podcast, but like the scariest thing that you can do is think. Mm-hmm. And like when you overly describe a monster or a scenario or something like that, you ruin the reader's ability to, or the watcher or viewer or whatever, you ruin their ability to create something that's going to be infinitely scarier than anything that you can paint.
Yeah, it's the old stage trick of don't go too much into like an injury prosthetic, especially if it's under clothes, because whatever injury the crowd can imagine under the clothes is going to be worse than whatever paint you could put on.
Exactly. So, yeah, good stuff.
Yep.
But yeah, that's SCP-428, The Crowd.
Woohoo!
Zach, where can people find you?
They can find me over on my casual blog of www.makeawritingcheck.blogspot.com, where I recently just got over 10,000 viewers, which is a really interesting place to be.
Woo!
I've been doing that project for about 3-4 years now. Jesus Christ. And you can also find my published work available wherever you buy ebooks. It is called Tales from Port Aster. I am currently working on the sequel, but I have no timeline for when that is done. And then, yeah.
Sick. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Calica1738. You can also follow my YouTube at Calica, where I've been working on putting out some content. Right now, it's mostly Yu-Gi-Oh! Based stuff, but I actually have some big plans for the end of the year stuff, both for SCPod and for my own personal YouTube channel. Yeah, I'm not going to plug my Twitch because I don't know how long it's going to be before I do that again.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah, that's where you can find us. You can find the podcast on Twitter at SCPod_cast. Find us on Instagram at SCPod.cast. And you can find us on Blue Sky at SCPod.cast. No, it might just be SCPod. Hang on, let me check it real quick. I have my phone literally in front of me. Hang on, it's coming. It's just SCPod, folks. Alright, yeah. We are available on both Spotify and YouTube, as well as a myriad of other platforms. iHeartRadio, Pandora, RSS, Podcast Addict, things like that. So, if you have a friend that's a holdout and doesn't use YouTube or Spotify, you can now corrupt them as well. I say this at the end of every episode, but it really does help us quite a bit. And 2025 has been an absolutely crazy year. And we'll get into that in the next episode. But please remember to like, rate, subscribe, follow, comment, thumbs up, thumbs down, click pause, put it on mute and put it on repeat. Get us a Billboard #1. All those things really do push us into the algorithm and help other freaks like you. Yes, you. Michael.
We're on to you, Michael.
You're a freak.
There's something wrong with you, Michael.
You can help other freaks. You can help other freaks find us as well.
Do it, Mike.
And then we can have a freak off.
No.
That's a
no. For legal reasons, that's a joke. And for other legal reasons, we are jokes. But, Michael, that's not...
We don't even exist.
Michael, that is not a joke to you. You are a freak, and you should be ashamed. Mike.
But, yeah, that's what we got. And, yeah.
Yeah.
Now... Zach, if you were the leader of this hive mind and assimilated everybody, what would you be beaming into all of our heads right now?
I tell everyone to stand by for 2 dudes chilling in an interrogation room 5 feet apart because they are not happy.
Thanks, guys. We'll see you next time.
Bye.